Hi, I'm Mark Boundy. I'm the author of the best-selling book, Radical Value, available on Amazon now. Yesterday, I sat through my umpteenth presentation or webinar or training on how to sell virtually. And there's some really great ones out there. Corporate Visions probably sits at the very top tier. Good stuff. So I recommend that. But as I was going through all these and sitting back and kind of digesting all of them, in the aggregate, I can't help but wonder if all of these presentations on how to sell virtually are just kind of nibbling around the edges. You see, in Radical Value, I took a deep dive into consumer and customer decision making, and presenting well is really important, but I can't help wondering if all the training that you've been getting is missing the difference between making the easy changes, the changes that we can make easily, or the changes that make us elite. So many of the presentations that I've sat in on are the easy changes. They don't feel like they're easy, but in reality, they're the changes that are going to be easiest for us to make. So what do I mean about easy versus elite? And how do I get the nerve to tell a great company like Corporate Visions that they're only nibbling around the edges? Here's what I mean. When I've watched all of these umpteen how to sell virtually, webinars, trainings, and so forth, they all teach the easy changes that you can make. Being able to get your salespeople to be more impactful in how they talked, using audio, visual, and Zoom more effectively, to be memorable. To make sure that their message is remembered more clearly, to make sure that they are more clear in their messaging. Those are great changes that are going to improve. But I want to stop and get you the difference between marketing and sales. Marketing is about unidirectional message flow. Messages, the definition of the word messaging is about unidirectional message flow from me to you in this case. And you're not able to talk back. I'm not able to ask you questions about what you understood or what you were thinking when I said any of this stuff. And so marketing is about unidirectional message flow, where sales involves dialogue and shared meaning. Human beings are social creatures, and we're not happy until we know that the picture in the other person's mind is the same as the picture in ours, or really close. We seek shared meaning, the same meaning for the same words. And that's impossible. I know that it's impossible when you're hearing this. It's impossible for me to know exactly what every single one of you is thinking. And the idea of making sure that it's impactful, it's memorable, it's clear, is scientifically calibrated to make sure that the odds are that that shared meaning or the meaning that you have is as close as possible to the meaning that I want you to have. But when it's unidirectional, it's always going to be in the area of marketing. And asking salespeople to become more clear in their unidirectional conversation skills is progress. It's taking a bad sales process or no sales process or no methodology to a moderately successful one, to a passable one. You're going to get a sales lift if you go from nothing to passable, but you're never going to get to elite, because in elite selling, we seek shared meaning. It's about a dialogue to make sure that everything was understood. To make sure that these value messages landed in your customer's brain, sprouted, took root, grew, flourished, and bore fruit. You want to make sure that value developed, that value took place in the customer's mind. Your elite sellers have done that, and elite sellers in companies the world over have done that for decades. This falls under the category of everything that's old is new again. So getting all of your average and mediocre sellers to communicate more effectively is progress, but it's never going to be elite, because value, selling value so that you can price to value and make profit from value, is all about making sure through the sales process that value took root, that there's a shared meaning of value. And so I really have enjoyed these talks, but this is great job security for me, because I live in the world of following those messages up, that unidirectional communication with the skills of dialogue, understanding what value took place. It's the same basic questioning techniques every sales training is, but we want to take those questions further to make sure that value landed, value developed, value sprouted, took roots, and grew in the customer's mind, so that now elite sellers are able to understand how badly the customer wants our product. Imagine what happens to our forecasts when we know that. Imagine what happens to our pricing power when we know that. And that will never happen if you had an impactful message and didn't check and have a dialogue to find out how strongly that message took root. So the difference between the easy changes that most of these organizations want you to implement, I'm a full supporter of these things, and so they're great, but I want to build on those with my clients to sell value, to understand how your differentiated features turn into valued, desired, coveted customer outcomes. And that's elite selling. Call me if you want to talk about this more. I'm at mark@boundyconsulting.com. If you want to email me, you can get me at 602-374-3020 if you want to just lob a call in. Thanks for listening. I hope you found this impactful, memorable, and clear. But that you want to call me and we can start seeking some shared meaning together. Take care. Have a valuable day.